Our next presenter today is Alia Whitney-Johnson, and she is representing the organization Emerge Lanka Foundation. The project name is Beads to Business. The project location is in Sri Lanka. The theme is around design, and the project aim is to support Sri Lankan girls aged 10 to 18 who have been removed from their homes due to past abuse or the threat of abuse and are courageously testifying in court against their perpetrators. So please join me in welcoming Alia.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me okay? It's a little bit low. It is such a privilege to be here with you all today. My journey began when I was 19 years old and studying engineering, actually, at MIT. I went to Sri Lanka on a tsunami relief trip, and while I was there, I met this young woman, an 11-year-old girl, who had been raped by her father and had a child. This girl was courageous enough to take her own father to court. And as a consequence, she was put into a safe home for the next 6 years while she testified. I remember that sinking feeling in my stomach when I met her. And I remember looking at her and thinking there was no engineering formula that was going to fix this girl's life. So here I am, 10 years later, and I'm still fighting for this girl and the 552 other girls who we've worked with, and for the thousands more who are still in court cases across Sri Lanka. Emerge began because of her, because in Sri Lanka, 30% of people believe that if a girl is raped, she's to blame. Because up to 34% of women in Sri Lanka say that they were sexually abused as a child. And because I believe that this girl and others who've had the courage to come forward can change this. Emerge empowers these girls to heal and to become self-sufficient, and it gives them the tools that they need to go back to their communities and affect change. So how do we do it? We go into existing shelters, and we operate basically as a mobile classroom. We have 4 programs: our Beads to Business program, which I'm talking about today, life skills, mentorship, and reintegration. When we go in our business program, we work with girls to teach them to set up and operate their own businesses. We use jewelry design as both a therapeutic and practical teaching tool. So imagine art therapy meets hands-on business education. And we have a workbook, a self-paced workbook that can accommodate a variety of learning needs. We have girls who can't count, and we have girls who should be sitting for O levels. So the girls use beads like the ones I'm wearing to learn everything from counting and basic math all the way up to how do you plan a business unrelated to jewelry? What is your dream? And then we sell the jewelry, and the profit from the jewelry actually goes back to the individual girl who made it. We have some for sale over there, shameless plug. And the cost of goods sold goes back into the program so we can sustain it for more survivors. We call this process of working with girls and partnering with them to actually generate their own capital in a safe way where they don't need to take on a loan, collaborative capital creation. And we found that with this particular target population, this is a really effective and important approach to keep them safe. So to date, we've worked with more than 550 girls, and girls have made as much as $4,000 through our program. They've used this to finance education, to start businesses, to pay for their first work clothes, even to build homes. When girls come to us, only 17% feel that they can change their communities. And when they leave Emerge, 77% believe that this is possible. It hasn't always been easy. At the beginning, it was just me and 18 girls, and due to stigma, I couldn't get anyone to mentor or translate or write a press article. And today, I'm really proud to say that every one of our paid staff is Sri Lankan, that we have engaged a lot of press and Sri Lankan celebrities. Miss Sri Lanka is up here in furthering our cause. And even recently, we've had the government come to us and ask us for advice on policy and budget items around child sexual abuse. We are the only organization in Sri Lanka that is focused on this issue exclusively. And as such, our programs and our connection to these girls is a way in which we can actually start a much bigger dialogue. So why am I here today? I'm here because there still is a lot of work to be done. There are 134 homes in Sri Lanka, and we work in 3. The Sri Lankan government has asked us to scale up to every home. They don't have the resources. But our dream is to work with every girl who's courageous enough to come forward and ultimately to make our curriculum open source so other people can benefit from it. Your support today would help us scale for the very first time and learn a lot in that process so we can bring it to many more girls. It would help us scale to 2 new homes, which would enable us to reach 60 new girls per year. And to give you a perspective, in the first year, we expect that this would generate $20,000 worth of savings, $20,000 that'll go back into the program, and will generate awareness by reaching roughly 1,000 customers in Sri Lanka. So what happened to that girl at the beginning? She went on to start her own sweet shop, which was her dream, and she got married, and I get to see her this Sunday. Emerge is still about her. It's about every single girl we work with. And thank you.
Alia, thank you. Extremely inspiring questions.
Yeah.
Let me help you out. Just kind of you can finish up that last minute. You're going to wrap up. So just for the judge's understanding, the Emerge Lanka Foundation is the parent foundation overseeing Beats to Business.
Beats to Business is a program. It's our business program.
Of which the foundation, Emerge Lanka Foundation, is a separate foundation, or it's kind of like the...
No, so the Emerge Lanka Foundation is the foundation, and we run 4 programs. Beats to Business is our business program. We also run a life skills program for the girls, mentorship and reintegration. So Beats to Business is one program that we run within the foundation.
Okay, and this $25,000 will be exclusively supporting Beats to Business?
Yes, it would bring Beats to Business to 2 new shelters.
Okay.
And so that is going to teach us a lot about the hiring process and the training process. You know, we have the logistics down, but when you're talking about these girls, they're not machines. Like the relationship that you have with them is very, very important. So how do we train our staff to have the same results that they did in the first 2-3 homes? So it would pay for us to actually expand that program to 2 new centers that we've identified.
And what are the other donor or grant sources for Emerge Lanka Foundation?
So we have a number. We've actually been raising a little bit more locally than we used to. So we have another entity in the U.S. called Emerge Global that raises money in the U.S. to support our work. In Sri Lanka, we're actually about to start a reintegration center for some of our alumni, and that's being funded entirely by the Round Table. I don't know if you all know them. It's kind of like Rotary Club, but it's for men. So we're actually getting businessmen involved in funding. We've had companies fund a lot of small grants like Starbucks and our National Youth Foundation. And for this particular project, Emerge Global has committed to overseeing the admin costs. And we have a bead company that's committed to donating at least $5,000 worth of supplies, potentially $10,000 if we get the money to expand.
So real quick question, how much did you raise as overall foundation in the whole year? What was your budget last year? That's rough.
In 2015, it was about $100,000.
With the expansion to 2 new homes,
Yeah.
You said the ultimate impact would be how many? On
So-
1,000 customers? What did you say?
So we'll be reaching roughly 60 girls per year in the home. And the way that this program is set up, it'll be self-sustaining, so we're going to be seeing that every year. And within that, if they make an average of 6 products a month, it's all educational purposes, they'll make about 2,000 products per year. And on average, we see customers tend to buy 2 products. So we're saying in Sri Lanka, we'll roughly reach 1,000 customers purchasing their products.
How do you help them access the market?
So we do all the sales for them. The girls are actually stuck in these shelters, unfortunately. They're in these locked, barred homes. So we sell in boutiques. We have a partnership with 2 different travel companies that give products to tourists who are coming in. We sell online. And then we take back all that information to the girls so they can actually see their work being sold.
And do the girls get the money back?
Yeah. So the girls make all the profit from the sale, and then the cost of goods sold, the cost of actually making the product in the program itself, goes back into the program. So the way that this bracelet is priced, this is a $15 bracelet. $7.50 goes to the girl, and then $7.50 goes back into the program. Like it just passes around.
So do you have a training program around financial, like do they have to look at accounts? Like how do they store their funds and things like that?
So every single girl gets a bank account. That is like one of our absolutely most important indicators. It's important that they've all generated a financial foundation, but that they also understand how to leverage that money. So we have, and I'm hoping I don't buzz anybody, we have a booklet. This is our Beads to Business booklet. It's in Sinhala that actually has 4 different stages around financial literacy and also around setting up your own business. And so what happens is we have girls, as I said, some of them can't do math, and some of them should be sitting for O levels. So they need to go at their own pace. You can't teach them all at the same time. So in the first stage, they learn basic math, they learn budgeting, we run a bank and a store in the home where they go through a simulation and they say, I have 2,000 rupees, how many necklaces am I gonna make? The second stage, they run the store. The third stage, they design a jewelry business. And then the fourth stage, we say, hey, what do you wanna do? Do you wanna do a bakery? Like, you don't have to do jewelry. How do you apply these skills to something else? And each girl has their own roadmap because some girls, it's gonna be very hard for them to get all the way through the program. And they'll spend a lot more time in the first step where we're learning how to count, we're learning how to go to the bank, we know how to read a bank book, we understand our savings, we understand how to budget. So we have a comprehensive curriculum, and we just try and get each girl as far as we can based on her previous education.
Thank you. Lovely presentation. My question is, I'm sure the girls also need counseling.
Yeah.
Is that done outside the Beads to Business in other verticals, or how do you handle that?
Yeah, so all the homes that we work in so far provide counselors. There's not a lot of training for counselors in Sri Lanka. It's a emerging field. It would be kind of a nice way to say that. So that has been handled by the shelters we work in. However, we're very excited because we've been working on our relationship with the government for a long time, and they've just approved for us to hire counselors for the home that we expand into. And if that goes well, we'll be able to use the counselor we hire and train to train all the government's counselors because they're not being very effective. But that's taken a while to build that relationship because the counselors handle all the sensitive court details, and the government ultimately is in charge of the girls.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your presentation. I was very interested in your proposal about how you looked at design as a critical program component of healing, in a way, their ability to express themselves and the ability to control it.
Yeah.
To control themselves and have some way of envisioning and expressing themselves. How then do you sell this wide range of different designs? I mean, what is the Beads to Business design aesthetic? How do you distribute a coherent product to your, and it sounds like you're only distributing within Sri Lanka at the moment?
We do distribute abroad. We actually used to export everything. But we've shifted back because after the war, there's actually a growing market and it raises awareness. I have customers in the US who want jewelry and we can't keep up with demand in Sri Lanka, so we actually need more supply right now. But your question is a great one, and that is the exact tension that we grapple with every day. So here's how we handle it. The girls come in, we provide them with designs. I wish I had a necklace up here. But say we have a 42-inch necklace. It'll have a certain pattern. The girls are allowed to go to our virtual store. Well, it's not virtual, it's a fake store, simulated store. And they actually pick out the beads that they want, but there's a pattern they're following. So they need a certain number of big beads, which cost a certain amount, a certain number of medium beads, a certain number of small beads. But a customer knows this is a 42-inch necklace. It's going to be finished in a certain way. It has a certain pattern. So what we have is a series of lines, product lines, that have a similar pattern, but actually each piece is still unique and is marketed as being unique. And the girls then, when they get to stage 3, start designing their own pieces. And if we like it, we'll actually purchase a piece from the girls, which will then get integrated into the program. So the challenge is, to your point, what we end up with is some degree of consistency, right? We have certain product specifications and control, quality control in place, but we also have a whole variety of colors. So we try and encourage the girl to use certain colors by placing colors that are going to sell well in the shop, right? If we don't want them to mix red and green all the time, we might not put them both in the shop at the same time. We've ended up with some candy cane necklaces that were very hard to sell. But then we work with stores that are really interested in selling unique pieces. So we mostly are selling through boutiques, and people love that they really are one of a kind. I think that there is a cap on how far we could scale, right? I mean, we can't, if you're doing one-of-a-kind pieces, it's unrealistic to say we're going to reach 100,000 girls and be able to sell, $2 billion worth of jewelry. It's not going to distribute that way. But we certainly could reach every shelter in Sri Lanka. I mean, there's a demand for the products for sure. And you all are all welcome to check them out. They're beautiful. I mean, I'm biased, but I want to buy all of them. They're on the back table in the room next door.
So if I may ask a question, you mentioned that the range is 10 to 18 years?
Yeah.
And I would imagine the 18-year-olds probably understand, on average, the market demand, and they're selling the accounts a little better than the 10-year-olds and so on.
Sometimes.
Do you segment, or, I mean, it's literally you're saying the 10-year-olds you'll approach the same way that you would with a, you have a bank account, and by the way, until you grow up, you won't have a bank account and all of that.
Yeah. So all the girls are in one classroom, and what we do, we actually see, it's not necessarily based on age, it's based on prior education. So sometimes you have a 10-year-old girl who's really sharp, and you have an 18-year-old girl who still can't read. And what we do is girls who are a little bit farther along become a mentor to girls who are not quite as far along. So as soon as you enter the program, you get buddied up based on your education level with someone else. And they help you introduce you to the curriculum, because our teacher can't teach a different curriculum to 20 different girls at the same time. It's not possible. And this is a challenge that shelters face all over the world. I mean, how do you teach kids with different needs? And so what we've done is we really leverage peer-to-peer learning. And at times, if we need to do breakout groups, we will divide them up based on their level and kind of do a deep dive. But a lot of it is self-directed and peer-to-peer. And then our teacher is kind of a facilitator to make sure everybody still is on track.
Alia, sorry, time's really, one burning one, if you keep it short.
Okay, very short. I was reading your bio, which is very impressive. So is this a full-time job for you, or how do you do the World Bank and Lean In and the other things and this? Like what? So do you have another job, or what's the?
I just quit my job.
Okay.
Yeah, I was at McKinsey for 2.5 years, and I just left because every single day woke up missing the girls and was like, I found my passion when I was 19, and people look for that their whole lives, and I'm crazy to not be chasing that. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.